This podcast is sponsored by Prime Movement. Prime Movement is for people who want to return to training after an injury, learn how to manage musculoskeletal issues while training, or who want to begin training but are not sure how to get started. They provide a whole systems approach to care. You can work one-on-one for an hour with their clinicians to determine an individualized treatment plan that will get to the root cause of your pain or dysfunction, and then apply principles of both physical therapy and strength conditioning to build a stronger system to keep your issues from returning. For a free consultation, follow the link in the show notes and get one scheduled today.
Hey, is this heaven? No, it's Iowa.
From high school to international wrestling, on the mat and beyond, this is the Potentially Dangerous podcast with the guys from IA Wrestle.
If you're a fighter, you like a fight. If you're an American, you like a fight. If you're an Iowa Hawkeye, you know you're going to get a fight.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and all your podcast-friendly apps. And follow us on social media platforms at IA Wrestle. Time to strap it up and get to the show.
Welcome back to Potentially Dangerous. I'm your host, Ross Bartachek, and joining me on the program is my good friend, Lars Underbakke. Lars, how you doing?
Doing good. A lot of great wrestling this weekend.
A lot of great wrestling this weekend. Obviously, we talked about this on last week's show. There were two really, really big duels going down this week. The Iowa State rivalry was going on, but there was another one that took place in Cedar Falls, and this one took me by surprise that there was a lot of details that we didn't really have squared away when we did our show, because I didn't realize that the Nebraska UNI duel started at 1 p.m., which was a full hour before the Iowa State duel. So it was like, we were fortunate to watch a little bit of both, right? I mean,
live, definitely
live. So
yeah, I was able to strictly watch the first 6 matches of the UNI duel, and then after that, it got a little dicey, kind of trying to pay attention to both. But yeah, it definitely was nice that it started a little bit earlier anyway, and we were able to focus on it too.
Yeah, so this was a big duel for a number of reasons. I mean, I know UNI was excited that they got some Big Ten teams on their schedule this year. Got Nebraska to come in. They're going to duel Wisconsin on the road. I think you said you're hoping and planning on going to that one, and I know they got a duel with Minnesota too, right? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think so.
Minnesota, and they dueled Northwestern to open the season, so they're really happy to see some of these Big Ten teams. And this Nebraska duel was one that they had circled. We had it circled for a number of reasons too, so we can kind of jump into this. One of those matches we talked about being a big match in this duel was the 125-pound matchup between Jay Schwarm and Alex Thompson. And I'll let you go ahead and tell the result, because I did not see this one coming out this way.
I didn't see a lot of these matches happening the way that they did. This duel meet definitely didn't go the way I thought. And this was an interesting match. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, Alex Thompson looks great after the first period. He came out, he had 3 takedowns in the first period. And, going through my head, we talked a little bit last week of Schwarm didn't set that tempo for the team at Northwestern. He comes out, he gets upset, didn't look great, almost kind of wondering if, he's opening the door for Biscaglia again. Both guys come out to shake hands. You're kind of wondering what's going to happen. And then Thompson comes out, takes him down 3 times. It's like, oh, man, what's going on with Jay Schwarm? And then he gets on top. And we know what Jay Schwarm can do on top. And he comes out and locks it up and gets the fall over Thompson. So, it's a huge win for Schwarm. It was a big win for the team to set that pace right away. Kind of felt bad for Thompson. We watched Alex for a long time as well. Like I say, he was wrestling really, really well. He just got a freshman sometimes have problems on the bottom, and he ran into a buzzsaw up there in Jay Schwarm.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we didn't see the fall coming, and obviously we know how good of a pinner Schwarm is. He's in the top 10 for UNI's career fall leaders, which is saying something. And I guess what I'm trying to say is this had the recipe for happening because of how good Schwarm is on top, and because we know Thompson, that was kind of one of his area of weaknesses, wrestling on bottom. But like you said, he comes out and he has 3 takedowns, and he just boom, 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 and you're like, okay, he's really moving. This is the Alex Thompson we remember from high school. And, Jay Schwarm just, bow and arrow, man, just locked it up for the fall. So that was a crazy result. Moving into 133, Nebraska had been wrestling Zach Hensley, former Iowa Central. I think he was a national finalist maybe for them. So they had been wrestling him, and I didn't see them pulling Ridge Lovett out for this duel, but they did. And then I didn't, Ridge Lovett's a guy that a lot of people love. Big time Fargo performer in high school. But Jack Skudlarczyk, man.
Skudlarczyk, I think.
Skudlarczyk, yeah, man. I'm picking up for Hager butchering names here. So Scud comes out and beats him 8-4. That also took me by surprise.
Yeah, again, an eye opener. Both teams ran two guys out during the introductions, and Drew Bennett's there coming off a huge weekend at Grandview. So you kind of wonder again what's going to happen. Lovett comes out, Skudlarczyk comes out. Right away, Lovett was getting after it, looked pretty good, and then that's by far I think the best I've ever seen Scud wrestle. I thought he looked really good. He just kind of controlled the pace. He never really gave Lovett a real good chance to get back in and score on him or anything. He wrestled start to finish, and just a great win for Jack. I know Lovett's young, but coming off of Schwarm's win, Jack gets that win. You and I's feeling really, really good after two matches.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I figured it'd be a lot more even than it was. I guess maybe I just gave too much credit to Lovett's high school career and didn't kind of think about a guy coming out of redshirt and what that can do for you in your first match. But especially in an environment like West Gym, so like you said. Radiators to the max. It's hot. Crowd's loud. They're coming they got a 9-point lead, and they got their, one of their star freshmen coming on, Mikey Blockus, coming up against Chad Red. This was a match we had circled. Again, not the outcome I expected.
No, not at all. I actually thought this was a decent matchup. I thought, we'd really see Mike hang tough in this one. I didn't know if he'd be able to get the win or not, but I thought it would be a really good match. And, I think it was 5 seconds in, he's fighting off of his back. And credit to him, he got off that first time. That he hit that cement mixer right out of the gates, and it was tight. I mean, it looked like he was in just a ton of trouble. He gets off at 6-0. You're like, okay, Mike, one at a time, get up. Try to come back. 6-0 is going to be hard against Chad Red, but Red was just dynamite today. Again, I've used this phrase a few times tonight. That's probably the best I've ever seen Chad Red wrestle. He was fired up. He was ready to go, and he got a tilt. He got some other stuff and just piled on the back points, and it was 18-0 in the first period. I didn't think I'd ever really see anybody do that to Mike again, but tough loss, but you live and you learn, and hopefully he'll learn a lot from that one.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I don't think we thought we would see that, and maybe it probably won't ever. I think that'll be kind of something that he's going to remember forever, and Mikey's going to grow from that. So that happened. Obviously, you and I's big lead shrinks. And they the next match out, you're still feeling pretty good though. You got Max Thompson going up against Colin Purrington, but boy, I gotta say it again, Lars, not the outcome I expected to see. Thompson go down 9-7.
No, not at all. I really never even questioned that he was going to win this match. In my mind, it was going to be a decisive victory for Max, if not, a chance maybe even to get close to a major in my mind. But I don't know. Purrington looked good. Give him credit. I thought he wrestled really well right out, but I don't know. Max just didn't seem to quite have it, and it was a really tough loss. That's one. You swing it the other way. This is a whole new duel. You're counting on Max as one of your guys. You're not worried about it, and him losing ended up probably being the difference in the duel.
Yeah, I felt like you said, Nebraska came out firing. Max kind of just gave up an uncharacteristic takedown, and I don't know if that kind of changed things for him or what, but hopefully he kind of can recalibrate. They got Cliff Keen, Las Vegas. He can make up a lot of ground that he just kind of gave up, taking that upset loss. So we'll kind of see where that comes. Moving up to 157, Peyton Robb, another guy who we think is pretty darn good from his high school days. Came out and got the fall over Keaton Gertz. I guess I don't know if I was expecting a fall, but that was a pretty tough loss for the Panthers to handle there.
Yeah, I don't know if I was expecting one coming in until I saw the way that Gertz was wrestling. It was kind of like, eh. You hear the announcer saying, Gertz likes to go up here. He's comfortable, upper body, working on throws. And I'm just sitting there thinking, man, Peyton Robb's lived on this too. He's had a great high school career. Like you said, he's good at Greco too. He definitely isn't scared to go up there. So it had me a little worried from the start when I saw Gertz going for that. And that really was all it was. There weren't any takedowns, anything. He just came upper body. Rob took him to his back and pinned him. So I don't know. I think we all thought a lot of Gertz coming out of high school. Schwab talked about him at media day and how explosive he was, but he hasn't had the best start to his year, so he's going to have to figure some stuff out. And to me, maybe at some point he's going to have to get back to some basics a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't know if I saw him being a 57-pounder coming out of high school, so there's probably a little bit of growing into that weight. I don't know. I just, like you said, you don't. It's kind of hard to have the horsepower if you can't out Greco Peyton Robb, and I know Gertz can wrestle in a lot of positions. I mean, that's kind of he wrestled some really good matches. Like he beat Alex Thompson when they were in high school, right? And that was kind of one of those matches where you're like, okay, man, this guy's, he's pretty solid, but I don't know if he's got a, like you said, just growing into it. We'll see where his season goes. Maybe he can make a run at the Cliff Keen, just kind of see where that goes. 165, Isaiah White, 13-5 over Austin Yant. That was kind of a expected matchup when you got a guy that's a all-American caliber guy going against Austin Yant, who I didn't see in preseason being a factor at this weight for sure, right? So that wasn't too unexpected. Did you have any other takeaways from that one?
No, I mean, I was kind of excited to see Yant get his chance. We talked about Sean Felder getting tech-falled last weekend at Northwestern, so it was good to see Yant get his chance. I actually didn't think he wrestled too bad. There was a couple of different calls here in this match, but yeah, Isaiah White was just too much, and I think we probably kind of saw that coming a little bit, but I'm kind of hoping to get to see a little bit more of Yant in the lineup, so hopefully going forward he'll get another chance.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely somebody I'm excited to see. I think at one point in time the plan was to really bulk him up, so it's kind of interesting to see him now down at 65, but we'll see where the season takes him. Another young Panther. They got a lot of those guys, so a lot of question marks we got to see develop. At 174, we had, there were quite a few matches we circled, but we really talked about 174 and 84, and, at 74 it was Bryce Dyer. We kind of thought he had what it took to come in and get the upset over Labriola, but, he did it by the skin of his teeth, a 2-1 decision. What do you think about Bryce Dyer at 174 in his match?
Yeah, just a gritty performance. Like I said, not a lot of fireworks, just kind of a grinded out match, but again, a huge win. We talked before the season of him going up to 74. Is he going to be big enough? Is he ready for it? And so far, great. Excuse me. He had a nice win at UNI. He comes back and beats number 3 Labriola, and just finding a way to get it done. Bryce Dyer just continues to win, just find a way to do it. And to me, that was the takeaway, was just being able to grind it out. Obviously, probably not exactly the match he wanted, but that's a huge win and really brought you and I back into the duel.
Yep. Yeah, I continue to eat Bryce Dyer at Crow. That he's going to be just fine at 74. So at this point, I mean, Iowa State duel's in full swing. UNI's in full swing. I mean, they're I guess running down their duel. But the other huge match was this number 4 Taylor Lujan versus number 3 Taylor Lenz, at 84. And we're back to our theme of this match didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, Lars.
Yeah, but like we said, Lujan, man, he's just exciting to watch. You just don't know what this guy is going to do. He's had some huge wins, but he looked great. I don't know how many different texts Nick Ryder sent out or tweets about how good Taylor Lujan looked today. I think, he really probably opened some eyes. Obviously, he's always been in the mix. He's ranked high, but it's not like he's a high All-American yet or anything. And he's going up weight. Again, it's one of those. We talked about Steyert going up. Now Lujan's going up. What's he going to look like? And to go and major the number 3 kid in the country in this good of a dual meet, hats off to Taylor Lujan. And I'm excited to watch him the rest of the year. I think he's as fun to watch as anybody in the country, and he just proved it once again.
Entertainment value through the roof. 15 points against the number 3 guy in the nation. That's incredible. I went back and watched it, and it was just utter dominance. I kind of couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And at one point, one of the escapes he gave him, he just kind of got up. How usually when you cut a guy, you keep your hands on him and you let him turn around and face you so he doesn't kind of get a cheap shot on your leg. But it was just like Lujan just got up and then he just, boom, took him down again. It was just like, what am I watching?
Yeah, and it seems like, some of these big matches he's won, he's like funked his way into something. He's had some weird scramble or crazy move, and, he didn't really even need it today. He just straight up went out and beat him.
Yeah.
And, to me, that stood out. He just wrestled really well.
Yeah, that was kind of insane. That was mind-blowing that this duel just completely baffled my expectations. At 197, Eric Schultz won by tech fall over Noah Glazer. Without Jacob Holschlag, that is, at 197, we didn't even know who was going to get the start, if it was going to be him. Tyrell Gordon was who wrestled there a little bit last year, but they went with Noah, the New Hampton boy. And, when you're wrestling a guy that's ranked number 6 in the country, it's a tall task to ask for a young guy like Noah. So, do you have anything else, I guess, to add at 197?
No, not a lot. I think they're still trying to save Tyrell Gordon if they can. I think they'd really, really like to get him a red shirt this year, understandably so. And Glazer's coming up. He's an 84-pounder. He's never been a real huge guy. So we knew this was going to be a tough matchup. Not a whole lot to say there, but New Hampton had 3 guys in the lineup, which is pretty awesome to see. But it was a tough day for the old Chickasaws.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, there was the heavyweight matchup. Sorry, flip here, but David Jensen versus Carter Isley. Obviously, the duel is pretty much going to go to Nebraska here. What did you think of this match?
Yeah, I actually had been told a couple weeks ago that Isley's a little banged up. He's got some issues going on, and all he's done is go out and win at Northwestern, wrestled pretty well again today. So I think, to me, Isley's been one of those guys I expected a ton out of coming out of high school. Maybe hasn't wrestled up to his full potential, but so far this year I feel like Isley's been wrestling pretty well.
Yeah, it's obviously, I think you're right. I think it's a big win. It's a step in the right direction. Last year we saw Isley kind of, he beat Gremmel and then he lost to him at Big 12s. There was just some consistency things, but you kind of talk about him, man. He's off to a great start, and this is obviously continuing that start, and we'll see if he can add to that at Cliff Keen. Obviously this still didn't go to UNI's favor, but they got. They were right there. They could have taken this duel. That's kind of how a lot of duels between these top teams go. A break one way or the other can kind of really make a duel. So a lot of things that we thought coming in were going to happen didn't, and just this ended up being a really, we thought it was going to be a good duel, but it ended up being even more entertaining. So credit to UNI and Nebraska. Do you have any other thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, I just feel like they could wrestle it again tomorrow, and it could almost just flip flop. There was just so many matches that went so much different than we ever saw. Just a wild duel. You look back and you think, man, Thompson, you had winning. If you have Holschlag healthy, what could have been. But Nebraska came in. Give them credit. After those first two matches, UNI had to feel good. It was best case scenario for Chad Red to come out and do what he did. I felt like just rejuvenated Nebraska and got them rolling. And, it was just too much for UNI to come back from.
Yep. So that was the UNI Nebraska duel. Obviously, we talked about that Iowa State duel. We have another podcast on that. Hopefully you guys will listen to and get Lars and I's thoughts on that. Hopefully coming down the pike we'll have some more. The 2A rankings breakdown with Lars is out there now for download and listen to kind of get his thoughts on how all 14 weight classes were ranked. Hopefully we'll have 1A and 3A to accompany that show coming soon. So we'll be back later in the week. We got some more wrestling to talk about. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm Ross Bartachek and my co-host Lars Underbakke. Thanks for tuning in.